Hi and welcome to episode 9 of the Load Down podcast. Today is the first of our headliner specials, with this week focusing on the mysterious and slightly controversial Sleep Token. We'll be speaking with Superfan Josh Jones, known to those on the Download forum as Red Josh. Will he be able to convince us that Sleep Token will be the hottest headliner of Download 2025? Let's find out.
This is the Load Down podcast. Down podcast.
Good evening, Johnny.
Good evening, mate.
How are we doing? It's been another week since the announcement. We've done a bit more digging.
We have.
And we're going to focus tonight on, well, we thought let's go for the most controversial of the three headliners. I think that's fair to say. The one that's had the most internet backlash, I think. Obviously, Busted got a lot last year.
Yeah.
Even McFly haven't outshone.
Do you know what?
This
I've
particular
not
band.
really seen much kickback about them. And
No.
I think maybe because it's been saturated with Sleep Token.
Yeah.
I think maybe.
Yeah, well, I think it was Judas East on the E-Festival said that there's a band in the announcement that will outshine them in terms of a backlash, and that hasn't happened.
Yeah, okay.
As we said last week, I don't think there's been a reaction as kind of angry since probably My Chemical Romance.
Oh, no, definitely not.
The people have been, I'd say, not to generalise, but it's generally the older guard of Donington veterans. I've been pretty gobsmacked that a new headline has come through.
And I think we're quite balanced, aren't we? And we'll always give bands a go. I would say I felt not shocked, but maybe I was shocked actually thinking about it. And I kind of knew it was coming. I've been watching them build for a long time. But yeah, the fact that they are putting that headliner slot, we will talk about it in this episode.
Well, we've said the speed in which they've risen.
Yeah.
We saw them at the Download pilot.
Yeah, we did. Yeah.
And the tent was fairly busy, but it wasn't rammed.
Yeah. Well, that picture I'd sent you of you in front of it, that was literally a couple of minutes before
we started. We're pretty close to the front.
Yeah, there's not many people around us, but
it's interesting to say the least. If I had to pick which of the headliners I thought would go on to headline fairly quickly, I thought Creeper would make that, because I thought at the time I thought, wow, these are, they're bigging it up with the show. Maybe it's probably because the Creeper are a bit more accessible than Sleep Token. I said when I spoke to Josh, if you don't know what you're getting into with the Sleep Token show, it can come as a bit of a surprise. It was very intense. I remember being stared at by the guitarist, was really like staring everyone in the face and stuff. It was really quite up close and personal. So it'll be interesting seeing how that translates to
definitely
outdoors.
The huge show.
If there's any noise coming through on your podcast this week, it is very windy here. And
it is. There's a bit of a storm going on outside.
Storm Burt's not really give us much of a kicking up here, has it?
No, it's not too bad.
But it is a bit windy, so it's not as cold as last week. So we won't be finding us like Jack Nicholson at the end of The Shining. But it is a bit windy.
It is, so this one, Sleep Token special.
Yeah. So we'll give you a bit of a spoiler, Johnny. So the question we asked at the start of this, and that we've asked the question that I think many people asked, and there's a lot of people have said, who are Sleep Token? We're one step ahead of that. We do know who they are.
Yeah.
But where we put it out to Superfan, as I called him in the interview, kind of lightheartedly. But Josh is a big fan of Sleep Token and has been for some time. So we wanted to invite someone who could passionately talk about something, because there's no point me or Johnny bigging up a band that we don't know too much about.
No, exactly, yeah.
So, the question was, who are Sleep Token? But it's also, are they worth seeing? Is it worth taking some time of your what seems to be Saturday night at Download and go and see in Download's youngest headliner in the best part of 2 decades.
Yeah.
So spoiler alert, Johnny, what have we done?
Well, I think Josh has done such a good job at selling them to us during the interview, which you'll hear in a few minutes, that we've actually bought tickets and decided to go and see them on Tuesday in Manchester.
So yeah, if you're listening to this Tuesday on release day, me and Johnny are counting down the seconds at work until we get in the car up to the Co-op Live.
Yeah, very excited for that now. Very
managed
excited.
to pick up some standing tickets, didn't we? First time at that venue. It's going to be interesting. So yeah, that had its fair amount of controversy. Let's go and see the most controversial band in the most controversial venue.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So we're off there on Tuesday. Like I say, very excited. There's about 8 of us going actually.
Yeah.
We've tagged on to some friends that were already going. So yeah, I'm really, really giddy for that now, especially after Josh's description and talking through them since Josh's interview. I guess with I've been watching lots of videos and documentaries and stuff on them and trying to understand the background.
There's a lot of lore, isn't there? We got up a bit of a biography, Johnny, didn't we, in terms of how to introduce the band. And Johnny, you can read it out for us.
Yeah. So, Sleep Token biography by John D. Buchanan. Enigmatic British band Sleep Token combine post-rock, post-classical and post-metal tropes with soulful indie pop vocals into a blend that sounds like nothing else. They released their innovative debut album Sundowning in 2019 and found mainstream success 2 years later with a UK charting This Place Will Become Your Tomb. The anonymous Mass Collective unveiled their third full-length effort, Take Me Back to Eden, in 2023. The album quickly became an international success, cracking the higher reaches of the charts in multiple countries. The group first appeared in 2016 with a self-released single, One. Their approach was unique, to say the least, fronted by a mysterious masked figure known only as Vessel and professing to worshipping an ancient deity called Sleep. They framed themselves as a kind of cult whose songs were all acts of worship. Sleep Token's music was equally original, blended tranquil post-rock, instrumentation and soulful falsetto vocals with sudden eruptions of tech metal brutality. Frenzied online speculation ensued as to the identity of the members, with the likes of Sam Smith, Hosier and Bastille's Dan Smith being put forward as candidates. The influence of artists like Deftones, Meshuggah, Explosions in the Sky, Bon Iver and Olafur Arnolds was apparent, but the whole was greater than the sum of its parts. So I think that sums them up very, very, very,
it's
very
a good little introduction, that. And we'll just stress that the anonymity is a very important part for Sleep Token fans. So I've seen people very keen to reveal identities of the band. We're obviously not going to do that here because that wouldn't be respectful of the fans or the artist. I compared it a little bit in the interview, like you'll hear, to Ghost.
Yeah.
And to be honest, I was a bit gutted when all that came.
Yeah, me too, actually.
It removed a little bit of the magic of the band once you knew. And we'll say it now, Tobias Forge was
yeah.
And then he's doing interviews totally free of masks and all that. It did take a little bit away from me, and I suppose it did back in the day with Slipknot.
Yeah.
Once you saw Corey Taylor just looked like the most normal guy in the world, it took a little bit of the
exactly.
They didn't seem quite as sinister, did they? After that,
exactly. So very good description there of them. Like I say, I've been watching a few videos and listening to some kind of documentaries that people have done on YouTube. Again, the huge backstory to them. Lots of attention to detail in terms of track titles, how it's kind of encoded in this strange language that they've got. It's absolutely brilliant. So
yeah, I'm just scratching the surface now, and I think once I've seen them do their own headline show, I think I'm going to end up right through the looking glass with it all.
Yeah, absolutely.
So what we did was, as I said, we didn't want to try and big this band up on our own. So we've reached out. A friend of ours reached out to us. I sat down. We had a call on Friday with him, and we had a really good chat about Sleep Token, about Download in general. And it was really, really interesting, and I thank Josh again for his time, because I could have spoken to him all afternoon. I almost ended up running late, picking the kids up, because I was enjoying myself so much. So thanks, Josh. And we've also had an offer from a Korn fan in Estonia 912 from the forums, who's who wants to passionately put forward the case for Korn. So
Perfect, absolutely perfect.
we really appreciate it, and we're still looking for someone to do that for Green Day. So if anyone's listening and would like to have a chat with us and tell us why Green Day will be the biggest headliner of the 3 days, then we are, we would be really grateful and definitely welcome you on to the podcast. So without further ado, we'll hand back to me.
Hand over to yourself.
Past me from Friday when I spoke to Red Josh, also by obviously his real name, Josh Jones.
This is the Lowdown Podcast.
Hello, and welcome to the Lowdown Podcast. Josh Jones, it'll be known to many of you as Red Josh on the Download forums, and also Josh in the Red on Instagram. And the reason we're asked, Josh volunteered his services this afternoon, was to give us a bit of an introduction to Sleep Token. There's obviously, Josh, there's been a bit of mixed reactions. Do you think is fair?
Yeah, I think there's definitely been mixed reactions, hasn't there, to them being announced. I think it's been noticeably, I suppose, a bit more positive as people have maybe given them a bit of a go and a bit of a chance. But I still think it's, in terms of mixed headliner reactions, the most mixed in a long, long time. I think, obviously, Fall Out Boy got a mixed reaction last year, and Bring Me got a bit of a mixed reaction. Yeah. Not too much in 2023. But I think it's noticeably different because I think they're bands whose names have been around quite a long time, so people have picked them up in passing, even if they don't really know much by them. Whereas I think with Sleep Token, with them being such a young and fresh band, it being harder to find, not being harder to find, it's easier to find music, but it's harder to be exposed to stuff if you're not looking for it potentially. I think it's taken a lot of people by surprise.
We don't live in that time anymore, do we? In terms of, like, when we were teenagers, you'd have Kerrang TV on all the time, and you'd always know who was up and coming. You'd always know who were breaking the mold. Like I said it last week, I think it's probably the most extreme reaction I remember since My Chemical Romance were announced. But even then, everyone knew who they were because you couldn't avoid them. Whereas music consumption, like you said, has changed. And if you're not looking, like you say, if you're not looking for Sleep Token, you won't find you won't find anyone really. So it's quite interesting in that way. But I mean, to come through and headline after 3 albums, I think is just incredible, really. And we all said it on the forums when they announced them arena shows this week even, isn't it? It took a lot of people by surprise, and then how fast it sold was amazing, really. So so to introduce Josh, you're I think the closest person I know to a super fan of Sleep Token, if that's fair. So how did you get into the
band? Slightly off. I suppose the first song I heard was The Offering. It's like 2019, so obviously they did that release, whereas it was every week or 2 weeks they're releasing a track from Sundowning. So that's when I first heard of them. I liked that, listened to them a bit, and then just kind of stayed with them, seen them live a few times, and then I suppose there's like a big massive change start of last year. Yeah. So me and my wife were going to see them at Birmingham Academy at the start of January 2023. So, as you can probably expect, we got our tickets in the O2 pre-sale back in the October when they came on sale, and even the week before the show, there were no low ticket warnings on it. Then Chokehold and the Summoning drop, and then all of a sudden it's a completely different landscape, and that show, which was the first of the tour, and everything else sells out within about a week of those songs coming out. So it's quite interesting.
Yeah.
And it's seeing their live show evolve, because obviously their live shows before they did that headline tour were very different to that one. Yeah. But it's from that headline tour to where they are now, it's absolutely night and day. It's so different, and it's quite weird. It's to see it in such a short time because you see bands evolve. So I've seen like Bring Me and Enter Shikari when I was younger, and I've seen their live show evolve.
Yeah,
but not in
that space of
such
time.
a short space of time.
Yeah, I saw them. The first time I saw them was at the Pilot event. So, again, they were. I like a lot of things with mystique and mystery about it, which is, I mean, obviously with Vessel 2, 3, and 4 being anonymous. I always like Ghost for that reason. I find the mystique behind it quite engaging. So I went and watched them there, and it was a solid show. But it was quite if you don't know what to expect, it kind of took me by surprise in a little bit of a way because it's quite intense. Is that fair?
I think that's definitely fair, and I think their live shows are really, really intense. And some of the Sleep Token fans can be like really, really loud as well. So
right.
it's definitely an experience, and it's really interesting to just see how it grows. But one thing I've definitely noticed is that, which I think is really, really good for rock and metal, is that when you go to a Sleep Token show, like when you go to like a Bring the Horizon show or a My Chemical Romance show, you see lots of females there as well. Non-binary people. It's not just like a load of men like lots of other shows, which I think is always really, really important as well.
Yeah.
Because I think that's how you get that cut through and how bands generally become big. So.
Yeah. Well, that's, I mean, I think in the last probably 8 or 9 years, we've seen Download become a much more mixed crowd. I think when I first went 2013 and 2016 were the first two I did, and those were, you're looking like 95% men. And I was saying to my friend, I was like, the split is pretty even now, and massively so compared to what it once was. And I think that can only, I mean, just as a casual festival goer, the vibe of a place is so much better when it's like that, when it's more mixed. So you're doing, are you doing, which of the UK dates are you doing? Are you doing all of them, or are you?
So all of them but the last London one. So we going up to Scotland Monday morning. So doing Scotland, Manchester, then home for a bit, Birmingham, then down to London, Cardiff, back home, and then up to Leeds, and then back home again.
Wow. I
think we decided that it's possibly like the last chance we'd probably get to like follow them on tour for a tour. So I think we decided we're just going to do it. I haven't done it with anybody else really before, other than maybe going to a couple of shows of some bands like Bring Me, for example, or Architects, or Enter Shikari. So we thought, sod it, let's do it. And hopefully it's going to be a great experience, because like Amsterdam was absolutely amazing on Monday night. So that was really, really outstanding. We had a great time, like transfixed the whole time, and the hour and 40 minutes there on stage literally just went in the flash of an eye.
That's good, because it's I mean, if you look at the Download headliners this year, you had your Fall Out Boy doing pretty much a jukebox run of their absolute classics. I think it's going to be quite a different experience for a Sleep Token, and especially if you don't know them. So if you had to say one thing to a newcomer to Sleep Token in terms of a live experience, what would it be?
I think I would say don't get too close to the front.
Right.
Watch the show and immerse yourself in it, because their light show's like really, really incredible now. It's really, really good. And I think it's really nice to see a headliner or an arena band showing that you don't need like loads of fire, loads of screens showing cool images. You don't need loads of blast cannons or mini fireworks or bangs going off.
Right.
And it's just literally the light showing them.
Right. Okay.
Which I think, and the fact that they can hold your attention from that, I think is amazing. So I'd just say, watch the show, watch it unfold. It's really, really good. And I think people will be mildly surprised when they see it. And I think people they'll win people over as well, because I think they sound a lot heavier even in some of their softer songs live than they do on record as well.
Yeah, because there's parts of the latest album that I was in parts getting into like a rocking sort of groove into them, and then suddenly they're playing some sort of like R&B sort of sounds, and it really kind of flips you on your head. You're thinking, where's this come from? So hearing that live and hearing that dynamic, I think that's got to be good for a download headliner, because you do get download headliners and they get a lot of flack. I'll say like Def Leppard. Obviously, on the forums they get a lot of ribbing and whatnot, but they're very one track, aren't they? Bands like that. Some people will like that and some people won't. But I suppose, like you say, if you're getting a real light show, atmospheric performance with these changing, audio dynamics and things, I think it could be a real surprise to a lot of people, I think.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, you can't really compare them to any download headliners of the past in terms of the way that they do things.
No.
I mean, I think it'd be really hard. I'm assuming that they'll probably bring a new stage show as well to download.
That would be interesting.
Because it looks like that this is kind of the end of the trilogy,
right?
This tour, and there will be stuff coming on in the future. So I think it'd be really interesting. I mean, like I mentioned it on the forums, but I think it'd be really helpful for download for Sleep Token at download to not do an era set list like Fall Out Boy did.
Yeah,
because I think even though people that are going to see him live know a lot of their discography, I think, and it's obviously quite short, I think there's definitely more people that definitely know the latest stuff and maybe 2 or 3 tracks from the first couple of albums.
Yeah.
So I think interspersing it throughout will definitely work with the pace and the flow and keeping people interested and engaged throughout it. And maybe there'll be new music by then as well. So that will help out as well.
Yeah, because they came in with EPs first, didn't they?
Yeah, so you've got 1 and 2, which are both like 3-track EPs. Then you've got a couple of standalone singles, Jaws, The Way That You Were. Then you've got their Sundowning album, This Place Will Become Your Tomb, and then Take Me Back to Eden. They did like a cover of Hey Ya by Outkast, which isn't very good. I don't know if you've heard it, but not a fan.
No.
And they also did a cover of a Loathe track as well.
Ah, right, okay. Loathe are at download as well, aren't they?
Yeah.
Yeah, very good band.
Supposedly on the main stage. It wouldn't surprise me if they're on Sleep Token's day.
Ah, good. So I think we still think we're a sub-headliner short, don't we? So who do you think would make a good sub-headliner for Sleep Token? If it is on that day.
I think there's 2 that are potentially around that would do really well. One hasn't announced any European shows, and that's Bad Omens. I think there's massive crossover in fan bases.
Yeah.
And I think Bad Omens and the Sleep Token would be really, really strong. And I think particularly for Sleep Token fans and Bad Omen fans, I think you'd struggle to find a better duo together.
That'd be a hell of a day ticket seller, wouldn't it?
Yeah. And I think with it being on a Saturday as well,
yeah.
I think there'd be lots of people that are like 14, 15, 16, 17 go along with their parents for the first time to see on a day ticket like Sleep Token and Bad Omens. I think it would be a great, great choice by the festival.
That's that's an interesting point, actually, because I think when everyone heard Sleep Token, we just naturally, you put the newer headliners, you think, stick them on the Friday, but that would be in a school day, wouldn't it? So if you got it on a Saturday, that could really work. That's really interesting.
So I think that's one thing you could that's one that would really help. And I think the other one is Deftones. Now, obviously, they've got the sold out show at is it Crystal Palace Park they're playing?
Yeah.
So I think Deftones would have been the other great choice. I think they've massively grown and with a young fan base in recent times. They've become really popular with young people, the same way that Limp Bizkit, Korn.
Yeah, there's been a real resurgence, hasn't there, of new metal?
So I think
Was that sold out
be
now? The Crystal
yeah,
Palace show.
so yeah, I think it might have sold out on the day or the day after. It sold out quite quickly.
That's a big show.
Obviously, they've got Weezer with them, so it's whether it's Deftones definitely closing, but it sounds like Weezer might have like an extended set there as well.
Right.
So I think it's a double header. I think that's really intrigued a lot of people.
Yeah.
But I think that'd be fantastic for Sleep Token. I think their sounds sort of coalesce, and you obviously get all the stuff about sexy metal, and I think that would work together as well.
It's an unusual bill, that, isn't it? Deftones and Weezer. Very different vibes.
Yeah,
but I guess
definitely.
I guess we're getting into the bands we grew up in are now the nostalgia bands, aren't they? So
100%, 100%. I mean, like for me, like when I was a kid, it was Maiden and Metallica were the like two big like legacy metal bands that I wanted to see when I was 15, 16 and got to see them both for the first time in 2006. So I saw Metallica at Download and Maiden on their own tour.
Oh yeah, Metal Life and Death.
Yeah.
With Trivium, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Where did you go for that?
So the NEC. It's changed its name so many times now. But yeah, no, it's the NEC, and I absolutely loved Trivium at the time. But that was when Matt wasn't screaming and they complained of Not From the Crusade, and I thought they're a band that I've gone back to absolutely loving now, but I had a period of time where I kind of fell out of love with them because of the Crusade and the way things went with that. But then
he did like a strange sort of flat singing, didn't he, instead of screaming? And it was like it was like a poor James Hetfield impression for even the heavy screaming songs. And I mean, I didn't mind. I quite like a few songs off that Trivium album, but it took me probably until
Sentence.
Yeah, probably it was. Yeah, when they got Alex on the drums, who I think's absolutely revolutionised them, and I thought they were great at Download 2019, and really enjoyed that.
Yeah, they were fantastic at Download. They were great on their tours. 2023, so I saw them a couple of times.
Yeah,
and they were great then as well. But I obviously saw them on the Ascendancy tour back at the start, and I was like, bloody hell, these were amazing. And then it was Download 2006, and also supporting Maiden. Matt did the kind of weird half singing thing at both of them. That really put me off them.
Yeah.
Because at the time I was like, if it's not screaming, I don't really want to know unless it's Avenged Sevenfold.
Yeah. No, that's good. So we'll just go on, obviously, go back to the Sleep Token thing. So if we've got any people listening that are no idea who Sleep Token are, what's your number one? Where do you go? What's your first thing you want them to listen to?
I think the best starting point is probably The Offering, because I think it starts off with, in very typical Sleep Token fashion, with like a bit of an electronic beat at the start of it. It kind of builds up. You've got the interaction with when people like live will start clapping their hands at the beginning of the song. So you've got that interaction. It kind of builds and gets heavier and heavier, which is what generally happens with Sleep Token tracks.
Yeah.
But it doesn't start, but some of their songs will start even more reserved and then build up and get heavier and like have some type of breakdown and proggy bits towards like the middle and end, whereas that starts off a bit heavier. So I think it's a really good starting point. I mean, I think most people would start with a Summoning, but realistically, I wouldn't even think that's in like my top 20 favourite Sleep Token songs. But that's obviously a song that made them really popular, so it might be a good start. But it's a really good song live, but and I wouldn't skip it listening through the album. But it's not one if I was just going to like put a few tracks on that I would necessarily gravitate towards.
No, it shows his vocals off, doesn't it? It shows Vessel's singing off quite well. So what was the story there in terms of the popularity? Was it a TikTok thing?
Yeah, so that the reprise of like the first verse at the end of the song, where it's kind of like a bit jazzy, funky, smooth, sexy, however people want to term it. It was that bit on TikTok, and that sort of kind of helped them blow up really. And then things have just continued to go from there. I mean, I think it's like double the listens of any other song on Spotify for them.
Yeah. Well, you've got to, and the thing is, you've got to be able to back up a TikTok hit with a solid discography and a solid live show, haven't you? So you don't just blow up. You can easily blow up and just drop off the face of the earth again. So,
well, I think that's one thing they've done really well, just like Ghost have as well.
Yeah,
where they've managed to take the help and the momentum that they've got from it and carry it on. I mean, Bring Me had the same as well. Like with the TikTok videos about "Can You Feel My Heart?" I don't know TikTok myself, but I know that blew up on TikTok as well. I think it was people doing like Trust Falls too. "Can You Feel My Heart?" And that kind of helped them blow up, which is why that started moving to the end of their set list and becoming a set closer for Bring Me. But
it's strange, isn't it? For us older guys, it's a strange phenomenon.
It really is weird. I don't get it. I don't have TikTok. I don't intend to get it, but it's interesting. I'd like to know what's going on, suppose, sort of. So I sort of keep up a bit where I can. But yeah, I think Sleep Token did really well to continue that trajectory, haven't they, at the end of the day?
Yeah.
And I think it is a really, really strong album, Take Me Back to Eden. And I think obviously the summoning was a key way in to their discography for people, but I think lots of people have stuck with them and have gone along on the journey after listening to some of their other stuff because they are so varied.
Yeah.
I mean, you've got songs that are basically like, an auto-tuned indie pop hit all the way through to, almost like black metal inspired tracks and everything in between. I mean, I think if you asked me to describe them, I'd probably say it's Meshuggah mixed with a mix of Sam Smith, the guy from Bastille, and Rob from Don Broco, vocals all mixed together. I think that probably is the best way to describe them.
They get a lot of comparisons, obviously, with Bastille as well, and a lot of speculation early doors on Bastille and Sleep Token being closely linked. And there is comparisons in his vocals in terms of when he sings like a smooth sort of singing style. It's got a lot of soul to it.
Yeah, and I think his voice is awesome. It's so great. And it holds up really, really well live as well.
Yeah.
And he does there's like ad-libs as well when he's singing live, so you can really tell that just how good and what a natural vocalist he is. He's really, really impressive. And they've started to add like bits of harsher bits to some of their songs live as well.
Right.
So like in Rain, there's a part where it's like when they're doing Rain Down on Me, and him and Four will scream it instead of singing it and stuff like that. So they've started to add bits like that. And I think if someone looking through their discography and listening to it would think, they're really, really varied. But I think it's like with Bring Me the Horizon, when you see them live, they're a rock band or a metal band, and their shows cater to that, and they cater to that's what the crowd that they want to cater for. They obviously want to have the biggest crowd they can and reach people from all different directions, but it's like they're primarily a metal band, and their fans are primarily metal fans. They may pull some people in and act as a gateway, but that's what they are at the end of the day.
Yeah. Have you seen them outdoors before?
Yeah. So we went to see them support Slipknot in like Festival de Nîmes. So it's literally they have shows on, for about 6 weeks, 2 months in the Roman amphitheatre in Nîmes in south of France.
Is that where Volkerball Rammstein was filmed, wasn't it?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah. And I think there's quite a few bands that have recorded things there because it's such a cool environment.
Yeah.
Honestly, I think it's in terms of the venue itself, even though it's like really tight, there's not a lot of space. It just looks so beautiful. It's possibly my favourite venue I've ever been to.
Wow.
There's definitely there's definitely venues that are better.
Yeah.
But just the way it looks and the way it feels and the way you're enclosed, it's like a really intimate stadium show is possibly the best way to phrase it. But yeah, it's awesome. And they were during the day as well. So it was maybe just going dusk by the time they finished. But yeah, no, they're really, really good, and they definitely won over some of the Slipknot fans there that day.
Well, that's
I think some were still dubious, but
so you think they're going to fare well at Download?
I think they will. I think a lot of people were talking about Fall Out Boy last year. Oh, they're not a metal band. Should they be at the top of Download?
Yeah.
And obviously they've got a breadth of absolutely bangers for days, haven't they?
Yeah.
They're another band I absolutely love, but they absolutely won people over, didn't they? Like anybody who saw that set, even if you don't like them, you would say they absolutely owned that stage and owned that live performance. And I think like Bring Me did in 2023, and I think
I was going to say, because I'm not the biggest Bring Me fan. I must admit, I do like a handful of songs. They're not a band I listen to a lot. And I went along in 2023. My sister's and her friend are a big fan, so I thought I'll go along and I'll watch it. And they finished the set, and I thought they've surely only been on about 20 minutes. They absolutely just blew me away. They were fantastic. And then obviously Fall Out Boy have done the same. And then so the door's open for Sleep Token to do the same.
Yeah, I think they've got a massive opportunity to cement themselves there for the next 20, 25 years, haven't they?
Yeah.
I think they're going to take it and they're going to blow people away. They're like so tight live now. Their live, like I said earlier, their live show's great. Vessel's absolutely amazing vocalist. The choir sound really good live and really adds something to the vibe and the etherealness of their live show.
Yeah.
And then like 2 is such a good drummer as well. Guy with the Machine.
Yeah, I've seen a lot of even just like Instagram shorts of him drumming, and it's something else. And we need them. We need Sleep Token. We need. I mean, Korn obviously have finally got their dues, but we need these younger bands coming up, and because we can't have Def Leppard, we can't have Iron Maiden, we can't have these bands. I mean, even Slipknot are on a limited. The time's running out for them now. So we need some great bands to come up, and if we don't, like Andy Coppins said, the festival will die. So
yeah, like you touched on Ghost earlier, and I really hope they get the bump next year.
Yeah,
it looks like, I mean, it very much looks like they're going to get the bump, doesn't it? From things that have been said and intimated. So
yeah,
I think that they would be absolutely fantastic as well. As a headliner, and I think you're right. We definitely need to go on. I think lots of us have been screaming that Download needs new headliners, and it's great to see that actually we're going to have lots of bump headliners over the last few years. Bring Me was a bump. Fall Out Boy was for Download. Obviously, they've done Reading and Leeds before, so Bring Me, but not in the big kind of stage and the big way that they did at Download.
Yeah.
And now Sleep Token. So I think it's, you've got 3 younger bands that can all come back and absolutely own the festival again.
Yeah.
Green Day, remarkably, the headliner I'm least interested in this year.
Really? Yeah, they're probably, I mean, just because I've never seen them. So they're up there for me.
Yeah.
Korn, I've seen several times, and they're obviously going to do what Korn do, which is draw a huge crowd and absolutely smash it. So I think a lot of people, Sleep Token will probably have the biggest question mark, but they've also got the biggest opportunity as well, I think. Which
and I think looking through how the festival's booked this year, I think they've definitely booked to try and bring Sleep Token fans along with them, or fans of current metal, which is predominantly metalcore. So if you look at the people that they've kind of got on the bill, along with Sleep Token, in terms of Spirit Box, Dayseeker, Currents, Northlane, Starset, people like that, you can definitely, and they're all on the top two stages. You can definitely see that they're trying to say bring those bands along. To me, it sort of feels a bit like 2006, the first one I went to, because we had Funeral for a Friend and Bullet top two on the Sunday. You had Korn, Trivium Avenged under Metallica on the Saturday, Deftones under Korn on the Sunday, and you had lots of like metal bands and that I was really into at the time. People like Johnny Truant, people like Atreyu, particularly on the first few albums, Shikari, Bring Me, when they were coming through, in young bands all on the bill. And it feels very similar this year as well, which I think is really positive as well.
Yeah. No, that's really good. So who else are you looking forward to this year, Josh?
Oh, me. I'm looking forward to Weezer.
Yeah.
I think that'll be really fun. I'm looking forward to Don Broke on the main stage as well. Looking forward to Spirit Box. My wife absolutely loves Spirit Box as well. So she's made up for that. I'm looking forward to Meshuggah. Great band. Looks like they might be on the main stage as well. Looking forward to Lorna Shore. Really looking forward to Korn. Sixth, if I could potentially see them, depends on who they're clashing with. I'd be really interested in seeing them again as well. They're a great band. Trying to think, I can't even remember who's on the lineup now.
I know, I still think seeing McFly and Meshuggah next to each other on a poster is like someone on the forum, I can't remember who it was on the forum, said together at last.
But yeah, no, I don't know. I think it's a really strong lineup this year as well.
I do. It's so varied, and I think that's when download's great. When it's varied, your days they're just so much fun, because you're not just stood watching the same thing over and over again. You've like last year going from Busted to Queens of the Stone Age and things like that. You just have so much like different like sorts of vibes, and it picks your mood up all the time, and it's exciting. So yeah, I think it's a really good lineup. I think
Friday last year was wild for me. So went and saw Polyphia on the main stage, then saw Soft Play on the second stage. Went and saw a bit of Callous Boys on fourth stage. Back over to see whatchamacallit, Mike Patton.
Mr. Bungle.
Mr. Bungle on second, then watched High Lung, and then went and finished it with Queens of the Stone Age.
That's wild, isn't it?
It's like a wild run, but it was one of my favourite days at the festival I can think of. And, I'm really glad that Download's bringing in like bands like Fall Out Boy, hopefully bring Green Day, maybe potentially bringing back MCR as a headliner. But I'm also glad that they're like going and bringing in like some of the extremes of metal and hardcore, less so this year than they did last year. But, particularly like bits of extreme metal, I think that's really, really important as well and good. I mean, like I've said it before, I'd love to have a day where, I can go and see My Chemical Romance headline the main stage and go and see, someone like Emperor on the bloody third stage on the same day. I think being able to do that, or have someone like a Menra in there, I think it would just be awesome. And then also have bits of metalcore in there for you to see, bits of punk, just have that really wide variety, so it doesn't matter.
Well, you've got 4 stages. There's no reason not to have such a mix. because it does. I mean, when I get me the Clash Finder right the day before, and I see that two bands pretty much with the same demographic are clashing, you think, what are you doing there? You know, there's so many. I mean, I think we've discussed this on the forums before in terms of the Avalanche stage. Is that less required now that, you know, the older bands are going? Do you really need not a pop punk stage, but a Kerrang Darling sort of stage when you've got Fall Out Boy headlining the main stage? Do we need to go back to that being more like it was back in 2016 when you had Gojira, you had Saxon and Ghost build on that stage?
Yeah, see, I think it's a perfect stage where you could have it. So you could have a really wild thing where you could have AFI doing one day.
Yeah.
You could have like a classic metal band like Saxon doing it on another day.
Yeah.
And then you could have something wild on the third day, like Lorna Shore or something.
Yeah.
And I think that would work fantastically for Download as well. Because I think, you know, if you've got, as long as you've got three, four headliner options.
Yeah.
And they're all different on each day. So I think it really improves the breadth of the festival. I'm not a big fan of like having stages for specific acts either. I think it's good to mix everything up. But what I do like having is, you know, top 3 or 4 potentially on a stage, all being curated so they fit together. So you've got a nice run for people.
Yeah, you're not sprinting from stage to stage all the time, especially in the mud.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I think it worked really well on the Saturday this year. I mean, I think, you know, that run of Frank Carter into Baby Metal, into Shikari, into The Offspring, Fall Out Boy is like a really good mix. And people like that kind of run. I think they did it really well in 2023 as well, with the Metallica run of, you know, like Hailstorm into Alter Bridge into Metallica on the Thursday, and then on the for the Bring Me Day when you went, like, kind of, can't remember who's on before Neck Deep, but was it Hot Milk?
Yes.
Or someone, but into Neck Deep, into Pendulum, into Architects, into Bring Me. Those days really run really well, and I think it's something that the fest should continue doing.
Yeah,
because I think it's good for day ticket sales, but B, I think it just makes more sense to, you know, curate stuff.
Yeah, if they curate those days properly, there could be, well, like you say, if I have a day like the Friday where I'm running around like a blue ass fly, which I really enjoyed, but also a day like Saturday where I just kind of camped out, I think it's a nice mixture.
Yeah.
I can't do it. I couldn't do it. I really hope they don't have a day like that on the Sunday, because running around in that mud would just be impossible. I could barely lift my legs out of the mud by the end of the day. I had to keep moving during Avenged Sevenfold just so I didn't like sink. Did you stick around for them?
Yeah, I mean, they obviously got a bit of mixed reviews, didn't they? But I thought Avenged was amazing.
I thought they were
absolutely loved it.
I really like the new album, though. I know it's had a bit of again, mixed reviews, but I thought, you know, bands are evolving and it's their art, isn't it? So
I think that album's absolutely outstanding.
Yeah,
I loved it. I thought their whole headline set was absolutely awesome. But yeah, I mean, I suppose some people just want everything to sound like Self-Titled or City of Evil.
Yeah.
And some people want to just go back to sounding like Waking the Fallen, but they're not going to do that. They're like massively evolved as a band, and they've always been a bit proggy. I think the first time I saw them at the old Academy in Birmingham, they had like pedestals for Sinister Gates and Zaki Vengeance to go up and do guitar solos on.
Yeah.
So it's like guitar. They've always been like a band of guitar solos and virtuoso player, haven't they? So
yeah, and
makes
like,
sense.
Sometimes they sound a bit Metallica, sometimes they sound a bit country. They've got a lot of different sounds going on. So I'll just before we finish, Josh, I was going to say, so now we've got Download 2.0, as we're all unofficially calling it. I think you've said one of your hopes for next year is Ghost. What about the other two?
Ghost. My Chem, Muse. But
Maiden feel inevitable, don't they?
To be fair, I like Maiden.
Yeah, I'm a bit of a diehard Maiden fan, but
I'd happily take, if it's Day of Ghost and M's, My Chem, whether it's Muse, System of a Down, Linkin Park, Iron Maiden, any of them would make me happy.
excellent.
I think, either of them would be, any of those would be strong, but I think definitely the top two would be Ghost and My Chem.
Yeah, I agree. They would be excellent. So, I'll just wrap up by saying thanks a lot, mate. Thanks for joining us. And like I say, I've known you in internet terms now for about the best part of 10 years, but never actually spoken to you. So it's nice to finally put a face to the name. And I'll keep an eye out for you at Download.
Yeah, definitely, mate. Definitely. No, really, really happy to do this. And like anything else you want to know about Sleep Token, even if you just want to message us, feel free to. I'm more happy to help.
No, I appreciate it. I hope you really enjoy the UK tour, and I'll see you on the forums.
Definitely, mate. Catch you soon.
Thanks, Josh. See you, mate. Bye.
This is the Lowdown Podcast.
Bro, that was absolutely brilliant. Absolutely amazing.
I really enjoyed speaking to Josh, like I said, and it's definitely convinced us to go on Tuesday.
It really has.
And we'll definitely be watching that Download.
Part of it due to just how lovely he was, to be honest.
He was, a lovely guy. He was really nice.
Really genuine, lovely guy. Obviously very knowledgeable and credible when it comes to Sleep Talk, and that really helps.
Yeah. Like I said, I've known him a long time in terms of internet-wise on the forums, and he's always a voice of reason and rationale. So we really appreciate it. Josh did message me afterwards just to say he forgot to say what his top 5 songs are. So if you are looking to add some Sleep Token songs to your Download 25 playlists, his top 5 are Higher, Bloodsport, Chokehold, Rain, and Ascensionism.
Fantastic.
No, Ascensionism. Said that wrong. I've been listening to Ascension. Well, I've listened about 3 times to take me back to Eden today, and Ascensionism is a cracking. That's how difficult Sleep Token are. You can't even pronounce the fucking song titles.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, what a very interesting band. Some really good points in there. And we were talking about it yesterday, weren't we? When you originally start following a band, you usually have at least a good 10, 15-year period of following them from clubs, pubs, academies, Apollo-sized venues, and you get to kind of see them grow. And it's almost like a little bit of a secret. You're kind of glad no one knows about them. And I feel the same about Creeper. Well, I did feel the same about Creeper at the time when they're a bit smaller. They're definitely gaining momentum now, aren't they? But it's almost like, geez, you've gone from, in the space of 2 years, just absolutely blowing up.
Yeah.
He mentioned, it was in the documentary I was watching last night as well, it was at the start of 2023, they played like an academy-sized venue, and at the end, they'd sold out Wembley.
Yeah, Wembley Arena. They had a bit of
insane.
They had a bit of an issue that night, didn't they? He lost his voice.
Yeah.
Didn't he?
What? I mean, a shocker.
It's a real shame, especially when it hinges so much on how good a singer that Vessel is.
Yeah. But also the dedication. So I watched a couple of videos of it actually, of the fans. They basically said he's really unwell. Turned the microphone towards the crowd, and the crowd sang every word.
Wow. And
they just absolutely went for it. A few songs in, and then he kind of got his voice back a little bit and helped. But yeah, the crowd, there's not many bands that, at Wembley Arena size bands that could do that.
No.
They just turn the microphone towards everybody and have a blast.
No, and it's not like they're a band that they don't have songs that everyone, it's not like they've got Tribute by Tenacious D. Everyone sings it. It's complicated music.
Really is,
it's real thinking person's music. So for them to then just pass it over to a crowd that can then do that is something.
I'm shocking my lyrics, well, you know that anyway.
Yeah.
I'm dyslexic, so I never focus on the words. I always focus on the music. So yeah, if anyone ever turned the microphone towards me, God knows what I'd be singing.
I'm a bit obsessive with stuff, so I end up reading lyrics.
And it was only until you're telling me the meaning of a song. I'm like, buddy, I need to listen to this back again.
Yeah.
And listen to the lyrics, because it is just like listening to a film, almost, or
well, people miss that. At the amount of times you go to a wedding and the first 10 songs they play are breakup songs.
Yeah, you're right.
And I'm thinking, what the hell? You've gone for like. We went to a wedding and they had the first dance, and then they had Who Knew by Pink on it. It's like, if someone said 5 years from now you'd be long gone, I was like, he's not thought about this. But then I said to Jane, and she's like, I didn't even notice. So
yeah, that's it. Yeah,
it's just the sort of music consumer that I am, I think.
Yeah.
For some people, it just goes over their head.
Yeah, good. And I think there's some other interesting points in there, not necessarily in towards sleep talking, but about how we now consume music. Which was very interesting, wasn't it?
Well, I said at the start, we used to just put Kerrang TV on, and there'd be 2-3 hours of new music every month that you just knew, because it had been almost like you'd almost been indoctrinated with it through the TV. So,
and he said like they were kind of helped by TikTok, weren't they?
Yeah.
A snippet of the summoning, I think, that was kind of used on everyone's reels or whatever it might have been.
Yeah.
And then people are like, oh, you only found them because of TikTok, and you only found them. And then I was thinking, well,
who were we to talk?
Yeah, like getting obsessed with bands because of PlayStation games. For example, like Tony Hawk. Yeah, they're like your gateway. That's like
So why is it more noble if you just if you've picked something up, listen to it, and become a fan? It's no one's business really.
No, it's not at all.
Remember when I got told about Journey? Okay. When they said that, what was it that Don't Stop Believing was playing in a bar, and I was singing along, and this guy like tapped me on the shoulder and said, "You only know this because of Glee."
Yeah,
so,
brilliant. Because I've been listening to him for the past 20 years with my dad.
Yeah, but it's strange. So I'm looking forward to talking to Esthenia as well. It'll be another education for me. I think this year's been the year that I've needed most educating.
Yeah.
I don't think there's been 2 out of 3 headliners that I don't know really that well in comparison to like last year. Even though, I mean, you're a massive Queens of the Stone Age fan, but I wasn't as sold on them as you are.
Yeah.
But this year, it's almost like I've really got to gen up on this.
Yeah, that's right.
Korn have pretty much passed me by, so I'm looking forward to his passionate take on it. And we'll get the ticket master up for getting some more gig tickets.
Where else they're gigging,
So if I rock up with a Korn tattoo at Download, you'll know he's done a good job.
I think it's hugely important that we don't try to sell them, or it's important that we get people who know a lot about them to talk passionately. I think it's really important.
Well, we said it from the start. We want this to be a community thing, rather than just me and Johnny spouting shite at you every week.
Reading Wikipedia articles on Korn. Yeah, let's get someone on who is passionate. Yeah. And that passion is,
well, it's authentic and organic. So that's what has made me and Johnny want to delve deeper into this band.
Yeah,
so
absolutely. Yeah.
I hope that's gone somewhere to do that for people who have doubts about Sleep Token. That would be a great achievement for all 3 of us that contributed to this episode. So give them the chance that they deserve. Like Josh said, I think the reaction has warmed since people have given them more of a chance.
Yeah.
A lot of people started coming out with the usual nonsense of them being a pop band, which in times they sound like Meshuggah and quite heavy metal.
Yeah.
Just because in certain times they then switch it up with a bit of indie sort of stuff. It's rock music. It's
it is.
You know, the license is with the artist. So
yeah, absolutely.
So we'll wrap it up with a little bit of music news this week. Obviously, we're not doing quite a full episode of things like our Unholy Confessions, but if anyone's got any more of them, please send them in. But we have got a lineup announcement for Made of Stone Festival, and quite interestingly, for those who like the classic rock or bluesy rock, we have got headliners Blackstone Cherry, who are the Saturday headliner as a UK exclusive. They've just come off the back of, are they just finishing off the UK tour? I think
they announced that they were playing at this festival last night or the night before. I think at one of the gigs. Yeah.
Obviously a Download band this year. Don't think the tour did too well. there was a lot of tickets being given away towards the end. I did see.
Yeah, so those.
If I lived near Manchester, I would have gone. Yeah. Then we've got Michael Schenker doing his My Years in UFO, featuring Eric Gronwall, formerly of Skid Row and Heat. He is a fantastic singer. It's good to see him back on the road because he had leukemia, I believe.
Really? Right.
Yeah, so he had quite a serious illness and he's back touring, but he's a hell of a talent. Then you've got Sweet, Stonebroken, Raven Age, Glorious Thunderbolts, Rosalie Cunningham, Wicked Rivers, Empire, all sorts of kind of low-end, classic rocky sort of bands. Battleborn, very good. Kim Jennett, we saw it Download.
Yeah.
Great singer. Haven't seen too much of her since we saw her in 2019, so be interesting to see what she comes back with. Kate went to the Waterloo in Blackpool, to see her. Yeah. But that was when she was with Mike Gray.
Oh, right, okay.
Yeah, and I don't know if they aren't working together anymore, so but to say the least. So, get deep diving into Sleep Token.
Yeah.
And we will also, get liking, subscribing and sharing our stuff because all our numbers are growing every week. People are coming back, listening, commenting. It means a lot to us. We're really surprised when, new people are listening every week. Then you've got people that are sort of loyally tuning in every week.
It's amazing. I mean, we're getting comments of people that we don't know, we've never met.
Yeah.
But please keep them coming because they are so nice. And if you've got any kind of ideas of things that you want us to talk about, or if you want to get involved as well with the chats, feel free. It's all one big community, isn't it?
It's definitely an open forum for us all bouncing ideas off each other. So thanks very much.
Excited, isn't it?
Yeah.
Nice one, right? Well, let's get started and get on our way to Sleep Token.
yeah, that's it. We've got to get back to listening to Sleep Token now, so we'll leave you with our outro music.
Nice one.
Night,
See you later.
Bye.
This is the Lowdown Podcast. This is the Lowdown Podcast.